Imagine you're sitting in a bunker. It's 1983. On your radar screen, you see 5 incoming nuclear missiles heading straight for the Soviet Union. You have 4 minutes to decide. Do you launch a counterstrike that kills hundreds of millions of people? Or do you trust your gut that this might be a glitch?
And this wasn't a movie. This wasn't a drill.
This was a real man, a real moment, a real choice. And the terrifying truth is, most of you have never heard his name.
Welcome to FutureTalk podcast. I'm Sara. Today we discuss about classified history. Stay with us to get more knowledge.
And I'm James. And today, we're pulling back the curtain on the moments that your government didn't want you to know about. The moments during the Cold War when civilization, as we know it, came within minutes of ending.
And I'll be honest with you, when James first sent me this research, I had to put my phone down and just breathe. Because what you're about to hear is not opinion, it's not conspiracy, it's declassified history, and it is absolutely terrifying.
To understand how close we came, you have to understand the world these people were living in. Picture this. It's the late 1940s. World War II just ended. The world is exhausted. And suddenly, 2 superpowers emerge, the United States and the Soviet Union. Both armed, both paranoid, both convinced the other is about to strike first.
And it wasn't irrational paranoia either, was it? There was real reason to be scared.
Completely real. The US drops atomic bombs on Japan in 1945. By 1949, the Soviets have their own bomb. And now, for the first time in human history, 2 nations have the power to end civilization. Not one nation, 2. And they're staring at each other from across the world.
It's like giving 2 people who hate each other loaded guns and locking them in a room.
Exactly that. And what made it even more dangerous, both sides knew that. They had a doctrine called Mutually Assured Destruction, MAD, which honestly, the acronym says it all.
MAD. They literally called it MAD.
Because the logic was mad. The idea was, if you nuke us, we nuke you. Everyone dies, so no one presses the button. It was peace through the promise of total annihilation.
But here's what gives me chills. That logic only works if both sides are rational, if both sides have perfect information, if every radar system is accurate, if every military commander follows orders, and humans are not machines.
And that's exactly where the cracks started to appear. October 1962. Most people know about the Cuban Missile Crisis, JFK, Khrushchev, 13 days of negotiations. What most people don't know is how close we were to a nuclear submarine commander, alone, underwater, with no communication, starting World War III.
Wait, a submarine? Tell me everything.
Soviet submarine B-59. It's been underwater for days. The crew is exhausted. Oxygen is lowing wrong. It's 40 degrees Celsius inside the hull. And U.S. Navy ships above them are dropping depth charges, practice charges, to signal the submarine to surface. But the crew doesn't know their practice rounds.
They thought they were under attack.
They thought World War III had already started, and this submarine, B-59, had a nuclear torpedo on board, one that could take out an entire aircraft carrier group. The captain wanted to launch it. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "We will die, but we will sink them all. We will not disgrace our Navy."
How is this not in every history textbook?
Because one man stopped it. His name was Vasili Arkhipov, second in command. On Soviet submarines, launching a nuclear weapon required the agreement of 3 officers. The captain said yes, the political officer said yes, Arkhipov said no.
He was the only one?
The only one, in a room full of exhausted, terrified men who believed they were about to die. Vasili Arkhipov stayed calm. He said, "Let's surface, let's make contact, let's verify before we do something that can never be undone."
So one man, one vote, one moment of clarity. That's what kept nuclear war from starting in 1962.
Thomas Blanton, director of the National Security Archive, later said Arkhipov saved the world. Not hyperbole, literally saved the world. This is the story I teased at the beginning. September 26, 1983. The Cold War is at its most dangerous. The US has just called the Soviet Union an evil empire. NATO is running military exercises near Soviet borders, exercises so large the Soviets genuinely believe it might be a cover for a real first strike.
The paranoia must have been at an absolute peak.
Off the charts. And on this particular night, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov is on duty at a Soviet nuclear early warning center. And at exactly 0:14 Moscow time, his alarm goes off. Decon 1. His screen shows one incoming American ICBM, Intercontinental Missile Ballistic.
What's the protocol in that situation?
Reported up the chain immediately, which would have triggered, given the political climate at the time, an almost certain retaliatory strike. But Petrov hesitates, and here's why. One missile doesn't make sense. If America was launching a first strike to destroy Soviet nuclear capabilities, why send one?
You'd send everything at once.
You send hundreds simultaneously. So Petrov thinks either this is a malfunction or I'm about to report something that starts a war. Then the alarm escalates. 5 missiles now, 5 confirmed launches showing on the screen.
What did he do?
He reported it as a false alarm. He picked up the phone to his superiors and told them it was a false alarm when he had no way to confirm that. He was making a gut call with the lives of hundreds of millions of people in the balance.
And he was right?
He was right. It was a malfunction. The Soviet satellite system had mistakenly identified sunlight reflecting off clouds as missile launches. A glitch, a sunbeam. That's what almost ended human civilization.
I genuinely can't process this. A man sitting alone at a radar screen, trusting his instinct over his protocol. And that's the difference between life and death for every human being alive today?
Every single person alive today, including us. And you know what's even more disturbing? Petrov wasn't celebrated. He wasn't given a medal. He was quietly reprimanded for not filling in his logbook properly during the incident, because admitting what happened would have revealed catastrophic failures in their early warning system. Just weeks after the Petrov incident, November 1983, NATO launches its largest military exercise in history, codename Able Archer 83. It simulates a full-scale nuclear conflict from conventional war all the way to nuclear launch, and it's so realistic with command structures operating on radio silence that Soviet intelligence concludes this isn't a drill.
They thought it was the real thing.
Soviet nuclear forces were put on their highest alert. Aircraft loaded with nuclear weapons were prepared for launch. In East Germany, Soviet fighter jets were armed and ready. We know from declassified documents that Soviet intelligence sent a cable to Western capitals saying, "Watch for signs that NATO is using the exercise as cover for an actual first strike. Report anything suspicious immediately."
So both sides were essentially on the hair trigger simultaneously.
A British intelligence agent named Oleg Gordievsky, who was secretly working for MI6, was the one who finally got word to the West about just how seriously the Soviets were taking it. When Reagan was briefed on what was actually going through the Soviet military's mind during Able Archer, by all accounts, he was genuinely shaken.
That's haunting. Reagan, a man who talked about the Soviet threat constantly, didn't realize how his side's actions were pushing things.
And this is the psychological reality of the Cold War that never makes it into textbooks. Both sides were terrified, both sides were ready, and both sides, at different moments, genuinely believed the other had already launched.
James, I want to step back for a second, because as I'm hearing all of this, a question keeps nagging at me. Why don't we know these stories? Why isn't Vasili Arkhipov's name as famous as Einstein? Why aren't children taught about Stanislav Petrov?
Because it's psychologically inconvenient. There's something called normalcy bias, our brain's tendency to minimize unfamiliar, catastrophic threats. If we truly internalized how close we came multiple times to annihilation, we couldn't function. So governments bury it, textbooks skip it, and we collectively agree not to look too closely at the abyss.
It's like we made a deal with ourselves. Don't look at how fragile it actually is.
Exactly. But here's what I think is actually important about knowing this history. It wasn't military genius that saved us. It wasn't our weapon systems or our treaties or our diplomacy in those specific moments. It was individual human beings making the right call under impossible pressure. Arkhipov, Petrov, and others we probably still don't know about.
And that should scare us, but it should also, in a strange way, give us hope, right? Because those were real people, imperfect people, people who were tired and scared, and they still found the clarity to choose humanity.
That's exactly right.
Before we close, I want to say something. I came into this episode thinking I knew what the Cold War was. I took high school history, I've seen the movies, and I thought missiles, politics, two superpowers posturing. But what it actually was an endless series of moments where one wrong reading, one fatigued judgment, one technical glitch could have ended everything.
And the reason we're both sitting here talking to you right now is because strangers, whose names most of us never learned, made the right call.
Vasili Arkhipov, Stanislav Petrov, Oleg Gordievsky. Say their names, know their names.
If this episode moved you, if it shook you the way it shook us, share it. Because the best thing that comes from learning history is refusing to repeat it.
This is real, all of it.
Next week, we're going inside the CIA's most controversial psychological warfare programs, things that make the Cold War nuclear near misses look tame by comparison. Subscribe so you don't miss it.
I'm Sara.
I'm James.